1992 at Brisbane, Hughes was fined 10% of his match fee for showing dissent and being abusive to the umpire. Border was fined in the same game and refused to appear at his own hearing, and it is said that Subbaway wanted to suspend him but was overruled by higher authority. Just 8 weeks later, the same pair offended again but received no fines, just a warning from Donald Carr. The same match referee was involved when Hughes and Warne were reported for verbal abuse 13 months later in Johannesburg. Warne appeared to completely lose control after dismissing Hudson, and considering that Carr had previously warned Hughes as to his future conduct when he misbehaved in Australia, to fine him only 10% of his match fee in South Africa exposed the system as so flawed that the Australian board swiftly multiplied both fines tenfold. So Hughes on his third charge and Warne on his first both received an identical and totally inconsequential punishment. Now what sort of sense does this make?
I don't agree personally with the fines that were imposed on Shane Warne and Merv Hughes this winter. I think they were too light. I think what you have to do is decide whether a player's offended before, and if he's had 2 or 3 offences, then the only way to stop it in future is by a ban.
I think the system is working. I think you need to look at what happened in regard to the Australians in the context of a change of attitude of the Australian Cricket Board in the last few months towards the conduct of their players on the field, and I guess the ACB felt the need to come over the top. That line in the sand is being drawn.
Well, I just wonder whether the umpire Palmer's having a word with Aqib Javid. He's indicated that there's too much short stuff in there, and this is not a pleasant ending to the day's play. The very first incident to be reported was one of the most unseemly, and it took place during the 3rd test at Old Trafford against Pakistan 2 years ago. For scenes such as these, Aqib Javid was the only player to be fined, and the captain, Javed Miandad, he escaped with a simple reprimand. Aqib later became the first player to be suspended for his behaviour during a one-day international in New Zealand. And then in the 4th test at Headingley, we had the ridiculous situation of the substitute fielder being fined during a highly charged final day when England won the test match. Clyde Walcott, now head of the International Cricket Council, he was the match referee on this occasion.
I thought Mr. Walcott was going to be one of the strong men of the game. And he, as it was happening time and time again in that 92 series, then I'm afraid very strong action has got to be taken against whoever may abuse the laws of the game.
I think you do need that impartiality, sadly. I wish that we could turn the clock back 30 years and for the suggestions of cheating and so on to be just not there. I don't really have to be independent officials now in cricket, which I think is a tremendous shame.
Even the supporters of the system recognise that the punishments imposed have not fitted the crimes.
The players are earning good money. Cricket is a very high-profile goal. The players need to be role models for the youth of any country, and I think if there's dissent or evidence of bringing the game into disrepute, there's no question that there should be stiffer, firmer, stronger penalties from the match referee during these particular matches.
Well, he's going to be given out, is he? And this is a most unfortunate incident. And Kapil Dev, that is the 3rd or 4th time that he has done this to Peter Kirsten.
Some players have even shown a profit on their fines. For instance, Peter Kirsten had the dubious honour of being reported twice in the same match when Australia played South Africa at Adelaide, but the most he was fined for either offence was 40% of his match fee, and he even showed a profit on that because he was the beneficiary of a radio whip round which raised considerably more than the fines in question.
And Peter Kirsten very reluctantly making his way back to the pavilion.
But the fact that match referees have not taken strong enough action is not the only complaint. There's also the question of cost, because in the last 2.5 years some
problems with the players, then just report them and we will back you to the hilt. And the administrators have never ever done that at all.
I think the whole concept of a match referee is very important, and it was much needed at the time when it was introduced 3 years ago along with the Code of Conduct. I think what should go alongside this Code of Conduct is in fact a sliding scale, some sort of guideline to the referees, which lays out in black and white precisely what a player can expect to be fined, or suspended for that matter, if he does step out of line. I think if there was some sort of structure there, that would help them enormously.
Kirtley Ambrose's attitude to his hearing after he was reported for demolishing the stumps in Barbados perhaps sums up the player's attitude to the whole system. He turned up with his daughter.
Well, match referees have been a very expensive failure. There has been no noticeable improvement in the conduct of players. In fact, if anything, it's got worse. Either the match referees should be scrapped, or there should be a dramatic revision of the system in which they operate.
The key is that the people that are in charge of every game of cricket, there are 4 key men. There are 2 umpires and the 2 captains. And between them, good umpires will maintain a firm control of the game, and good captains will maintain firm control of their sides. And if you have the 4 right men or 4 good men in those positions, then in fact the referee is completely, he's obsolete.
Why do you want match referees when you have umpires of the calibre of David Shepherd of England, who handled the problems at the Wanderers perfectly calmly,